All right, so I've got everything outside now, and I could assemble this in the house, but I'm going to assemble it outside, and then once it's all together, then I'll take it inside. But the most important thing is making sure that you measure it to make sure you can get it through your doorway if you decide to do it outside, and then also take into account the weight, because I believe it's 198 pounds fully assembled. But I have much more space out here, that's why I'm doing it here versus in the house. And I'll be pointing out some stuff along the way, and something that's really important is check all your welds. I am in no way a welding expert, but I do see some questionable welds in numerous places on this. And in one case, it makes sense why the weight limit on this bottom drawer right here. It makes sense that it can only handle 25 pounds is because it's got these very light metal pieces that hold the rail that makes the drawer slide in and out. So it's not very strong. And but like I said, look at your welds, and you'll see some spots where you're like, I don't know why they welded it that way. Like this one's not too bad because it's spot welded, you know, probably about every 2.5 to 3 inches. And then there's some places like here, and this is on the back, on the inside on the back. You can see welded on the end, and then there's only 3 spot welds, and you can see where it's coming off the wall, and like even this one. So welded at the end, but nothing in the middle. So there's like this spot where it's flexed out. First thing I start with are these legs that go on the bottom. For now, I'm just going to screw them all the way in, that way I know they're all equal. And I'm putting these on first. Yes, I can follow the instructions, but putting these on first so that I can lay this on the ground. And I'm going all the way down with these because it's a lot harder to determine whether you're level or not if you've got them all sticking out at different lengths. It's just easier to adjust them from here. I'm going to do the other 2 and then move on. All right, I've got all 4 legs on the bottom, and one thing to be cautious of, that drawer moves in and out very easily, so you do want to be careful if you're flipping it around because it will catch your fingers. The next thing to do is prep it for the top to go on, and you have these little thumb screws that lock the top portion on, and you want to make sure they're loose enough so that you don't try to put it on and find out that the threaded portion is blocking the receipt of the top. And so you'll have to do that for all 4, and then this is where these little pegs are going to go into those holes. You also want to make sure you're orienting it the right direction. You want to make sure you don't put it on backwards. You could leave the upper portion like this and then slide the bottom portion on, but one of the things you got to be careful with is without the weight of the top on the bottom legs is the thumb screws, when you turn them, are going to cause it to want to go away from the upper portion. So it's just best to put the bottom portion on the ground and then lift onto the top of the legs and then tighten the thumb screws so that the weight is helping you keep it nice and flush. Otherwise you could end up where it could be out of level. Be aware that when you go to put the thumb screws on, the 2 here and the 2 over on this side, you can easily reach them from the side. But just be aware that even if you tighten those thumb screws down, when you go to lift this, don't be surprised if the bottom comes off, because they've got to be super tight in order to keep the bottom attached to the top. I didn't say this originally, but just be prepared that when you're putting this together, the instructions don't have a lot of wording, so you have to look at the picture to determine how things will go. I've turned this back on its side because it's going to be a lot easier for me to put the drain on, and also be able to put all the connections on here that need to go on the way that it is right now. Otherwise I'm going to feel like I'm a mechanic trying to do everything from the underside laying on the ground. So this will just be easier. Here's an example of what I was talking about when I say you go to put the bottom onto the top, and you go to tighten the thumb screws, you watch right in here, you'll see that the legs start pulling away because you're screwing the bolt into the little pegs there, so it wants to take off on you. That's why it's better to do it while it's on the ground, or you could have somebody come assist you and hold it in place while you screw the thumb screws down.